Hey folks, welcome to the next runner profile for the first ever Hurricane 100K, brought to you by the Meeks Mountain Trail Alliance here in the wonderful town of Hurricane, West Virginia on September 10th, 2022. My name is Matt Young. On behalf of our events team, Ashley, Brandon, Hager, Stewarts, Robert, and Vanessa, thank you for being here. We're so excited to bring you West Virginia's first 100K, and as far as we know of, the first 100K with the prize purse, $7,500 up for grabs. So we have $1,500 going to our top female and male winners, $750 for second place, $375 for third, and then we also have a relay as part of this, a 3-team relay, $750 for the co-ed team, the male team, and the female team. So, pretty special thing we have going on here. This is all made possible by local volunteers of building these trails and our local sponsors, including our title sponsor, the City of Hurricane, and our Mayor, Scott Edwards, and also our presenting sponsor, Little Caesars Pizza, our friends over there, which means if we have Little Caesars as a sponsor, there will be plenty of hot and ready pizza at the finish line for a bunch of hungry runners. So we're excited to see you all at the finish line. So let me introduce our guest to you. This is Ben Ferguson. Ben comes to us from Las Vegas, Nevada. That's a roll ready for that one too. But Ben has roots here in West Virginia, which we're going to get to in just a minute. Ben is 42. He has a wife and 2 young kids, a full-time career in the U.S. Air Force. Ben, by the way, we thank you for your service to the country, and we thank you for your service to America.
Thank you.
He's had stints in various special units during his time in the Air Force. Because of his ability to run, he's about to retire and bring his 22-year career to an end and begin the next phase of his professional life. Ben is an athlete from way back, which includes running in middle school and high school, rugby. I just say ouch to that. And as an adult, ran mostly roads, including a number of half marathons and marathons, until recently getting into ultras after he decided to finally give up rugby. By the time we get to September, he'll have 5 of these long-distance runs under his belts. But as of right now, Ben's ultra sign-up sheet has 150K listed, and that 150K is a win. So that makes you a perfect 1-for-1, which gives you a 100% ranking on our ultra sign-up sheet, and you are the top man in the ranking, which means you also have a target on your back.
Oh, goodness.
I'm telling you, beware, Ben, that our local runners, they have vowed to defend their home turf and to do it with a vengeance. So you're going to have to convince them you're true West Virginian. Can you do that?
I'm going to give it my all. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty sure there's some young lads out there that might feed me a little of their dust. So I'm willing to give it all, but I'll finish. It's what I look like at the end that is the question mark.
Yeah, well, that's good, man. So I know, and that's a lofty expectation. So I'm really just kind of setting you up there, but we're just
yeah
here too. And when I saw your registration come through, I saw Las Vegas, Nevada. So I immediately reached out to you and said, Ben, why in the world are you coming to West Virginia? Found out that you have roots here and have family here. So talk to us about growing up here in West Virginia, your time here, being away, and then what draws you back here.
Yeah, absolutely. So grew up, I was born in Huntington. Grew up most of my time either there, Hurricane, or St. Albans. Was just like any young kid, loved to venture out. And as we spoke before, like I love the area, love the beauty, I love the river. Even as a young kid, we'd run everywhere. So being back in the mountains, that's what I truly enjoy. Like the mountains, the trails, the woods. There's something about it that's peaceful, There's a very spiritual part of it that we all we want to take in, So, whenever I first heard about this, both my sister and my stepdad lives in Hurricane right now, and they're both with military members. Your family members are always trying to figure out ways for you to come home, so if they can pick your interest in something that's going on in town, they're going to throw it out. It's a double catch for them. You get to see family and you get to bring them home for what they enjoy, So initially my my stepmother and my sister like sent me this invite both at the same time. It must have just come out, like, so they knew that they had the hook and they had the bait, so they both were like, hey, this is your new love. Why don't you come enjoy yourself, stay at the house, you can get in 60 some miles, who else would they, who does that, so, of course it's funny that we talk about it like how they brought it to my attention and how like that don't happen in normal families, like, hey, how about you come home and just run 60 some miles, but of course for me that's really what I wanted to do was well, there's other parts of it and I'm sure we'll get into that later, but them convincing me to come home. And then also I saw on your website like all the great things you guys are doing in that area, and I was like, man, I could definitely give back to this event and or to the community. So yeah, we kind of missed some steps there, but through middle school was in the area, ran a little bit in middle school, came back around the end of my high school year and played rugby at Marshall, which kind of I stepped back from the 100% competitive running and strictly went into just playing rugby. Realized right away that being a college student took money. And I, like a lot of college students, I slowly ran out of money. So a lot of my friends, they were in the reserves and they were like, how about you just go and do military stuff? And I was like, man, I don't know, but I one-upped them and went active duty, So, I've been traveling the world for the last 22 years. Definitely have gotten in a lot of miles over the years, different races. Nothing to the extent of a full ultra or, a couple marathons here. Definitely a lot of halves, a lot of 5Ks. 10Ks, but yeah, so throughout the military I've been on the road and now I'm getting into this ultra thing, and this definitely brought me back to coming back to see my family in September. And I was listening to a little bit of the other interviews, and like a lot of times people have like they have a crew, so this will be the first time I actually will have a crew,
Nice.
So yeah, I'm super excited. It's going to be a good time, have the family together, run through the mountains. Like I told you, like that's number one, like getting the family together, enjoying an event together, especially in the local hometown.
That's awesome. And so you're bringing your wife and your kids with you too. And just so they know, man, we want this to be family atmosphere. We expect people to be hanging out, whether it's crew, we got relay teams all hanging. We're gonna have ice cream, we're gonna have pizza, we're gonna have bonfires and s'mores, all for the family there too. Because we're gonna have people. Some of these guys are gonna be finishing in daylight, maybe like yourself. We're gonna be going all the way up to midnight. We got an 18-hour limit on this, so I'm planning on playing some Nacho Libre and some Napoleon Dynamite movies later on that night too. So it'll be a great time for them too. So hopefully they'll see that running is not so bad. And because the way we have this loop course, we'll be able to see you, 5 different times and crew for you. So it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Even some spectator spots out on the course. So
Yeah.
I'm happy that your family's coming too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you had this win at the ET Full Moon Midnight 50K. Was that your first 50K?
So my first 50K. So I've done a couple of other like non-sponsored events. One of which is now a sponsored event out in Fairbanks. I did really well in that one too, which was a 42 miler. I don't know. It's so you're doing 12 5Ks and it's a elevation climb of 10,000. So it's a pretty big run. So, and I'll be doing it again this year, but I did that one before the ET, but so that was my like first like kind of organized ultra, but it was definitely eye opener. But once you get your first one,
Were you ever out there like my wife and I were talking about this at dinner actually? Is like there's not a single race I'm out there going, why do I do this? This is the stupidest thing ever. And this may very, I don't ever say it's going to be the last one because I know better than that now, but you think, why in the world do I put myself through this?
yeah, I mean, so, I mean, for me, whenever, and me and you kind of talked about this a little bit, whenever I'm 100% completely gassed and I put everything out there, that's when I flourish the most. Like I can set in that little pot of misery and just sit there forever, like, and that's the thing with runners. Like you look at a lot of runners, like that's the thing that they're really good at. Like they can get on the road, get in their mind, and they can set in what some people would be the pot of misery, and just sit there and sulk in it. But they're happy there. So, I mean, yeah, it's that first one in Fairbanks. I didn't know a lot of the ins and outs, like maybe I should drink a Coke at the 12-mile mark. Maybe I should, you know? So like people don't know that, like, and I was figuring it out, but absolutely being on that fence line of the raw edge of knowing where your actual limits are, that's the best place to be. And I think that just a lot of people don't understand that. Like if they just saw like a smidgen of that, they'd be like, man, I love this. But yeah, getting into the ET race out in the middle of nowhere, Las Vegas. So this was a straight on road race. I started this though. There's a herd of cattle out there, which I had no idea Las Vegas had cattle, but there's cattle out there. So right away, I'm trying to stick with the front pack, like, because that's what we do as runners. We always think that we're not going to push ourselves until we get to that line. So I'm running with the pack there, and they started the marathon runners with the ultra runners. So you could imagine how bad that was for the ending. But so I'm running, and what I didn't know was there was like a small like group of cattle like trailing us, and I was like, oh goodness, one of these worst case scenario to Ferguson, it's going to be a cattle taking me out. So I'm running with this pack, right? And like we had headlamps out off my peripheral. I see this cattle start coming my way. I'm telling you, within like 5 feet, this cattle's like crossing over, and it's in the middle of the night, So it was after that I was like, man, I'll get my bearings. I got in my groove. It wasn't until I didn't hit that brick wall until I started seeing the marathon runners start turning around. That's whenever, my brain started. I felt like taking a lot more of my sugars. My body is taking the sugars, and that's my number one thing is sugar to blood ratio. Like I have to stay up with it to keep going. And it wasn't until that point that, seeing those marathon, it's kind of discouraging to see the marathon runners turn around and you're still going, another 6, 7, 8 miles.
Was this an out and back race?
It was an out and back race. So, and there was this giant light, which was I ended up finding out it's a cop car out there with its lights on. Very deceiving. So I kept on thinking, yeah, this is, my turnaround point. This is my turnaround point. So I was pushing myself pretty hard. And I knew that there was a couple of the ultra guys that were behind me. So, you're always constantly saying, well, gotta go. I start coming back, realize I have a pretty good lead, but I still want to pull that lead out a lot more. But get back coming to the finish line, I'm done. Like I'm pushing pretty hard, and it's at that point that I'm starting to roll back with some of the marathon runners too. So my mind's getting in the way of what I'm actually doing. So instead of like pacing myself, that runner's competitiveness kicks in and you're like, yeah, I can do this. Well, get to the end of the line, completely spent. And we've all done this, like body wants to lock up. You're telling your arm to move. you're telling it, like physically telling it to move. It's not moving. And of course, there's other stuff going on as well as bodily functions that you don't want to happen. That's the last thing you want as a somewhat older man, is to have that happen at the finish line.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to control all this, and also getting done with the race. I'm sure the pictures look horrible because mind, body, everything's locked up. Luckily, there was a porta john right there, and they wanted to talk to me right away. Like, hey, I cannot do this right now. I need to move on. I need to get this done, and then I'll come back and talk to you. But the race was great. Like, definitely the middle. There's a small hill in the middle, which I felt really, really great. I mean, it's in the middle of the night, so it's cooler. It's not like desert heat. So
did you like step up there thinking I'm going to win this thing?
So initially, I mean, you have to think about it this way though, too. Like, middle of COVID, I'm pretty sure that half the ultra racers were not there, So as I started passing people, and I knew who was in front of me, So, I mean, you have 20 some miles to figure out what you have going on. But you always think in the back of your mind as a runner, and I'm sure all the young kids, they all have this too, like, there is somebody right behind me. I need to go,
Yeah.
So I knew that I had a chance, and I was running pretty hard. Like, for an ultra for my division, I had a pretty good run, So I knew, but you always are thinking about that person behind you. I mean, everybody can say like, no, I'm not going to put my whole heart into it. I'm going to just take this one off. I'm going to go light until they say go or the gun goes off. Total different mindset, like a person changes within a second, especially runners, whenever that happens. Like, it goes from, I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to hang back with my friends back in the back, to I'm the lion or the lioness and I'm going to hunt, I mean, that's how it is. Like, everybody can claim, especially runners, they all claim that, I'm going to just hang out and, go with my friends that just want to relax. Well, that don't happen, man. Like, as soon as the gun goes off, it's hunting time, So
when you talk about that little pot of misery, which I think is kind of cool. I've got a saying, and I say this to myself all the time: I don't have to do it forever. I just have to do it for now.
That's right.
Staying in the moment, which is one of the hardest things to do, is not to look too far ahead, project your misery too far out ahead. If you have to, walk a little bit, get yourself under control, and be ready to go again.
Absolutely.
That dropping out is a whole lot more painful than continuing on.
Oh, yeah.
So, man, you have experience in the service for 22 years, and we know that the training there is tough. Hard sports like rugby, competitive racing, all of that experience going into ultra running, I would have to think that you're pulling on a lot of experience to help you through some of these races.
Yeah. I mean, so for the military, I surrounded myself with individuals that know how to be in that pot of misery, and they do really well. Like, and I'm not like the, all-knowing, doing awesome stuff all the time, especially in the military. But I surrounded myself in special units, with special individuals. So, and when you're around a certain group, you start to become that person. Like, how to endure stuff. The worst days end up being your best days, So, like, and that's what I always strive for in the military, is not to be the best in that circle. Like, if you're the best in your circle, you're in the wrong circle. I mean, a lot of people talk about this leadership, like, you should surround yourself with individuals that push you and or challenge you to make you a better person. And this is 100% true within my career. And I did that. I mean, I surrounded myself by people that, could endure the long days. It could, be dehydrated and not have sleep on end, day after day. So, I mean, I think it really comes with the people I surrounded myself with. As far as me being some kind of different bred person or something special, I mean, I think I get a lot of that from the individuals that I surrounded myself with, just total enduring people, And as I said before, like, if you don't know what your limitations are, how can you make that next step, So, I mean, I was always taught this, like, push yourself until it's unsafe, Sometimes there's a point where, like, we step over that boundary,
Yeah.
But you need to take a step back, get back on track and move forward and, like, try to better yourself. And there's no other place where you could do that but running. Like, I mean, you peel people apart, like, the most raw part of us is running and pushing ourselves to the ragged edge. Like, that's how you know what your lymphatics are, So throughout the runs, I'll start picking myself apart. Like, what am I thinking the most about? Why am I thinking this way? Why is the negativity soaking in, And I mean, this goes into rugby as well. Like, it's an endurance sport, it's 80 minutes. It's not like you can put people out on the field and bring them back off. They're stuck on the field.
Yeah.
And you look at a lot of these videos of, I mean, even college rugby, I mean, they're smashing heads for 80 minutes. There's blood, broke nose, broken arms, legs, whatever. And I think it's in the enduring, it's enduring. Yeah. And it's looking out for the guy next to you and or showing, that individual that you have their back, So I think the rugby, like, and I was getting at a point in my age where I was getting broke all the time and I couldn't do it. And, I was looking out there. There's a lot of videos on a lot of, high level athletes that are looking for that next level, like boxers, football players, whatever, like, they're looking for that next level to push themselves to that ragged edge. And, like, started watching some YouTube videos. And next thing you know, like, I'm trying to do, 25, 22 miles on the roads around our house. So I was like, man, I can do this,
Yeah.
But yeah. And then, yeah, rugby definitely pushed me down that road to where I had to make a decision. So, and that's where I'm at now.
Yeah. It's surrounding yourself with people, and there's all kinds of sayings for that. There's a proverb: as iron sharpens iron, as one man sharpens another.
Oh, yeah.
Birds of a feather, flock together.
Yeah.
And and there's other part where you know the people that you want to be around. You know the people that when you're with them, that your attitude changes, that you smile, you enjoy it, and also the opposite. And when you see people, you go the other direction, man. So be that person, and I believe you are, that other people want to be around, that you're raising them up too. Because that is one of the things I used to do triathlons, and when I started doing long distance runs in the woods, I was like, these people, awesome.
Yeah.
They've got triathletes beat hands down. They're all about the competition and weight and mags. I mean, it's not a cooperation. That's what's so great about this community. That's what I love about it here in West Virginia too. So it is people want to run hard, you want to race, but it's really about being together and being in community.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So man, you have this love for West Virginia, and we've talked about showcasing our state. So if people say to you, Ben, you're from West Virginia, and you try and convince them to go, what do you tell them? What do you tell them? Why should they come to West Virginia and visit?
So, and me and you, we talked a little bit about this. Like, so I would like to showcase, like, the better parts, like, so often you hear about Oregon or Washington, or there's no other state out there that has the beautiful, the mountain trails. Are they brutal? Yeah, they're brutal for a runner, but they're beautiful. Like, you have pristine, like, old farmland. Like, this is stuff they make postcards out of, So, I mean, get it. And there's, like, it's so easy to get away from the city, you look at the Hurricane City Park, like, you're going to go not even a half a mile in.
Yeah.
and you're going to be out on the trail. There's going to be country roads. Yeah. Is there going to be mud? Yeah, there's going to be mud, and it's going to taste good. But I mean, you just don't have that. Your Floridas, you got the sand, but I mean, you have the mix, So, I mean, for me and the people, like, there's nothing. Everybody talks about how friendly we are, like you drive anywhere else, like you wave your hand down a country road. There's consequences to that in big cities, whereas you do it in West Virginia, like people are honestly just trying to be nice people and they care about you. They'll help you out 100%. Like you're stuck on the side of the road. You have family problems. It doesn't matter. Like they are there to pick you up. So I think for me, and I grew up there, so I would love for people, and this is definitely the opportunity for, these bigger races, for people to come in to see how hospitable West Virginia is as a whole. Like we are here to make things better, So, I mean, that's what I would like people to see, is just the beauty of it. I mean, there's a lot of outlier cities out there that are known, your Lewisburgs or the New River Gorge, all those places. But I mean, as far as it being around like Hurricane or Milton or even around Charleston, like it's just not known in those areas how beautiful it is. And hopefully, of course, whenever my sister and my stepmom told me about this, I was like, man, this is the opportunity to give back, And I told you, like, 100% what's going on as far as the trail building and the community being involved, like 100%. Like, I think that is a great thing. And like right away, whenever I read the story, I was like, man, it's not a matter of whether or not I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it, So.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And Brandon Dorner heads up our organizations, the chief trail builder and chief everything. Got it moving. He always says, people talk about stuff being trails being out their back door, mountain being out their back door. But here in Hurricane, we built these trails at our front doors. And so it is, you would never know going past the big red barn across those train tracks that there would be over 20 miles of trails up there that were hand built, over 350 volunteers, over 7,500 hours. It's $1 million project up there that's been built for practically nothing on sweat equity. And we've seen how it's built a community. People come to visit and they're welcomed. They ask for help. They get shown around where the trails are. And so West Virginia, I grew up here, lived in Kentucky, lived in New York, and I never thought I would come back. And I say this about every time I get a chance to talk to somebody on these things, but you could not drag me away now. Absolutely. So we're really hoping that people come and visit. And that is the nice thing, man. We're in this kind of a fairly, it's not an urban area like you think of as big city. We have a town. Once you cross those train tracks, get up on the trails, you have no idea. It looks like you're somewhere, in the mountains of West Virginia. There's parts of it look like the Pacific Northwest. I mean, it's incredible. And that's the kind of stuff that West Virginia is absolutely full of. We just have to get the access to it. So
absolutely.
I'm so glad that you're coming. So glad that your family's coming, that your family talked you into it, that, your roots of West Virginia, you've gone all over, but this is still your home, and are coming back to visit for this race. And
yeah, absolutely.
Well, can't wait to meet you face to face, and hopefully we'll have a full crowd, man. Drag some of your folks from out there and bring them here with you too. Just help spread the word about what we're doing in this race.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Ben, thank you very much, man. Once again, you and your family, we thank you for your service. We thank you for the service to the American people and to our country. I say all the time, people use the word sacrifice, but very few people actually know what it means except for our service, our military, and their families. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So everybody else, Hurricane 100K coming up on September 10th, 2022. Registration is open, live, going to have, listen, you don't have to be a front runner to come. You can be just as miserable as them as you do this run and enjoy yourself while you're at it. You'll never be, we have some friends that say, man, now that the races are over, we can enjoy running again. But unless we're miserable, we're not happy. So get out and have a good time. Bring a team. If you're not up for the whole 60 or the 100K, 62 miles. Bring a team. Do it with 3. Break it down to 20 miles each. You'll have a fantastic time. Ben, thank you. Everybody else, see you next time.